All right, so here we go. In three, two, one. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Cholo and the Chino podcast. I am G the Chino.
I am Mike Da Cholo.
Da. You spelled it the
Da.
Chulo. You know that, right?
What?
You spelled the Chulo as your username, not the Cholo.
Yeah, I know. I can't spell. Whatever. Leave me alone. Fuck
So
the.
we are, so we are live for episode 9. Um, yeah, we kind of got busy, and with Full Gear, we kind of forgot. Well, we didn't forget. We were just waiting until after Full Gear to shoot the episode. So we're gonna give you a quick condensed version of last week's Dynamite. Um, because I forgot to load up last week's BT. So let me pull that up so we can skim through that real quick as well. And then we'll cover Full Gear. I'd say it was a good show. It was better than the last pay-per-view. That we were kind of about. So, jumping into losses. Yeah, losses matter too. Oh yeah, this is the one where they give Brandon the Giant montage of him losing, where they show all
Oh,
26 losses. Um, and then they cut to him finally winning and celebrating. And he's like, I won. He's like, I want to show that wins and losses matter, but most importantly, that losses matter. Um, so then that cuts to the opening of the show. And then from there, they have. Damn, this thing went on forever. Went on for like 10 minutes. Then you had that the championship for the BTE title would be this week on BTE after, which would be in a triple threat match between Matt Jackson, John Silver, and Trent, which we'll get into in part 2 of this, which will come out Saturday. Then you have Fraggle the Soul talking to Sammy, and that he's like, let's take out Matt Jackson since his legs messed up, because if we take him out, then I get to go in the finals and I can win. So then Sammy takes off his shoe and he throws it and he hits Brian Cage instead. So then he's on. It wasn't me. It was Fuego. So then Brian Cage picks up Fuego and starts choking him up against the wall. And he's like, "It's not me. It wasn't me. I have both shoes on. Look at Sammy." And Sammy only has one shoe on. He's like, "Why do you only have one shoe on, Sammy?" Sammy's like, "Run!" And then he takes off running from the run bit. And then my favorite part of the show, Dark Order goes to recruit Darby Allin. So they go and tell him that they like to be extreme because they went to, I think he says Paramore or some rock band from like the late '90s, early 2000s. And he's like, we just went to their concert. It's dope. It's awesome. And then they painted their face. So they're like, you paint your face, we paint our face. You have a death wish, we have death wishes, and they're all, we want you to join the Dark Order. And he's like, okay, cool. Since you guys have a death wish, he's like, how about y'all both stay here another 5 seconds and bend over so I can shove the skateboard up your ass. So then they're both talking to each other, and then they're like, okay, cool, let's get out of here. So then they take off running. Um, then from there, it's another Young Bucks promo, and then they cut to Luchasaurus um, doing flips in the pool. And they're like, no, I want to do big man stuff. And he's like, no, jump on this and do a Canadian Destroyer off this into the pool. And then apparently his dad is barbecuing for some reason by the pool. So at the end, he does a front splash and gets all the barbecue wet. Um, which was, I guess, just going back to the whole Jim Cornette talking about how he's doing flippy stuff when he should just do big guy moves. So I guess that's what the jab is there. Um, then we end last week's BTE with the Familia feud between the Dark Order and every Mexican that's other than the Lucha Brothers that's part of AEW.
I
Um,
forgot about that.
so what's his name? What the hell's his name? I forget his name. Um, the Spanish announcer
Oh,
guy. Yeah, Alex.
Alex Marvez.
No, not Marvez.
Is it Marvez?
No, Marvez is the other guy. The one that,
It's Alex something.
yeah,
Yeah.
Alex something in Spanish. So for those who've been following BTE, remember that he did drink the Kool-Aid. I forgot about it till like towards the end on the first watch. He drank the Kool-Aid a couple episodes back, so he's actually part of the Dark Order. So that's why Dasha wins first, and she's like, because they're like, who is Austin Powers afraid of? And she's like, Doctor Evil, and he's like, no. So then Evil Uno does it in the Doctor Evil accent. And he's like, yes, that's correct, Doctor Evil. Then they run down the list and they say that he's afraid of Brody Lee, Anna Jay, and then I love when they get to John Silver where he's like, "It's not Stu Grayson," and they're like, "Stu Grayson," and then it ends up being Stu Grayson. Um, then in the second round, they're talking about things you need to get somebody to join the cult or join a cult. Um, the key words is when it triggered to me that he was part of the Dark Order. Is he says they interviewed 300 cult members for the survey, and then Santana responds with uh, what say bullying him as a way to join the Dark Order, and he's like, "No, it's how to join a cult, not a prison gang." And he's like, "What's the difference? Isn't it the same shit?" So why he's talking before the answers, he's actually talking to them about their street fight. Why he's showing the Dark Order the answers on the cue card, so they know all the answers to the puzzle. And then the final round there, they have to guess Cody's favorite food. So they tell Dark Order actually loses. So then they tell the team
Hold
Spanish.
on. Before you go on, the best part was when he was like, one of the answers was like, "What's Coach favorite thing?" And one of the Dark Orders like, "Shit."
Yeah, Stu Grayson's all shit, and they're like, yeah, shit, and it's like, nope. So come on, man, it's close. So then they get the do you know who it is? I still don't know who the hell he is. The,
The
the
host guy,
oh, okay, yeah.
the
Now that you
order
said it, I see it. Yes,
the guy.
yeah, the Magnifico, whatever the hell his name is. Yeah, now that you just said that and I paused it, I actually can see it now. But yeah, I was kind of thinking it was Christopher Daniels for the longest time, but I was like, his face is too skinny. So he has to guess every answer right in order for the Spanish team to win. So he starts one by one, and he's like, Cody's favorite food is a medium porterhouse steak with crispy asparagus, a drizzle of lemon with a hint of balsamic vinegar. Then the next one is his mom's picadillo with Spanish olives and no raisins, which I don't even know how that's even possible, but okay. Then he says duck confit with mashed potatoes. Then he says chicken francaise over white rice and peas. Then the fifth answer is Frosty from Wendy's. Then it's John Silver has a jock itch as number 6. And the last one is oh no, they won. That was it. It was the 6. Um, so then everybody celebrates while Anna Jay shoves Stu Grayson into a trash can. Um, but yeah, my favorite too. When they were talking about the other one about how to join or how to get people to join your cult, when John Silver was like getting over on BT, and they're all show me getting over on BT, and I was like, true, that's that was great. Um, so then from there, we gonna go ahead and jump into Dynamite for last week before Full Gear. This is the go home show. And where did it go? Oh, here it is. Okay, so we're just gonna do a quick run by so we can cover the main show. So of course you had Inner Circles, Sammy Guevara and Ortiz take on MJF and Warlord. So MJF gets the win by making Ortiz tap out. I think if I'm correct. Yes. Yeah, he finishes him off with the Salt of the Earth armbar. Then after the match, he goes and attacks Chris Jericho, who was doing commentary. Um, a lot of people praise Sammy for this match because he was doing a really good job as a babyface, taking the heat and making the comeback, um, which is, I guess, early signs of him turning babyface. And I'm guessing based on what's going to probably lead through on the storyline with MJF, that's probably going to happen pretty soon. From there, we have Miro making his debut against Trent, which was a really good match. And then he wins by hitting the game over on Trent to end the match there. Team Taz comes out saying that how is it that Brian Cage is 10-1 and has no title shot, and that Ricky Stark is 10 out of his 11 matches, and he's not even in the top 5, and that what's the point of having a ranking system, which is what everybody keeps saying. Then he says, well, we don't have a match at Full Gear. Don't worry, we'll will make something out of it. Um, Obviously, foreshadowing that they're going to come out somewhere in the pay per view. Then you had the Young Bucks take on Private Party in a rematch after beating them to get the number one contender shot for Full Gear. So they go back and forth until they win and beat Private Party, which after the match they get beat up by FTR, who tries to go and break Matt Jackson's leg again with the Brian Pillman of the chair. But as he's getting ready to do that, good old Kenny Omega runs out to make the save, or Kenny and Page. Kenny and Page both come out and make the save before they kind of awkwardly face off in the ring. And no shoving, no pushing, no nothing, and that just ends the segment there. And then to end the show, we had Eddie Kingston and Moxley face each other, or have a face off in the ring. So the rule was that they couldn't touch each other before the pay per view, or they would lose the match would be canceled. So ironically, they were still able to go touch head to head and get in each other's face. So it was a good back and forth. That Moxley was like, "This is why your mom's never gonna have grandchildren, because you can't beat me and get the title." And then go back and forth through it, talking about that he's gonna have to kill him to win. And that's where you ended off with both of them yelling at each other, and a really good back and forth. I know they were um, talking. Talking over each other, making it like a legit actual argument and not just, WWE style where you yell, then I yell, then you yell, then I yell, and let's not talk over each other. Um, so that was I think that was a really good segment to get it hyped, because I was ready to see them kill each other.
I thought that was a great segment. Like Eddie Kingston, once Moxley started talking about his mom, you could see like the emotion, like the real, like legit emotion coming from
Mm-hmm.
him, and then it just more passionate. You know what I mean? It was kind of weird that Moxley was trying to kiss him the whole
Yes.
time, so close. It's like, like when you're trying to, you're in bed and you're trying to spoon your girlfriend from behind, trying to give her notes like, "Hey, I'm trying to get it on." Like that's what it seemed like when Moxley was fucking Eddie Kingston. It's like,
Yes.
dude, back off a little bit. No,
Yes. Then a video for Pac played saying that he's been locked up and he's been crazy with nobody to play with. Which I thought was funny that I was listening to Jim Cornette. And they're like, but apparently he has a friend to play with that can edit the video for him to put multiple versions of him in the same room. But anyway, yeah, let's not look at that part. But yeah, he's talking about that he's going to be on the way back, which we'll get into later possibly. Um, then from there, they interview the natural nightmares who get beat up by the butcher and the blade after the bunny says, "Here's your credit cards, QT. I maxed them out." And then they get beat up in a quick little segment. And then to hype up the women's match, you had Nyla Rose versus Red Velvet. And then a little quick squash match. And then after, Vicky Guerrero went to Sheeta and told her that all her bones were going to break because Nyla Rose was going to break them. Then Sheeta went to go grab her before Nyla and Sheeta have a pull apart until the referee goes and takes them apart. So another one segment build up the day before the pay per view. And then the main event was the American Family, Nightmare Family, which now has the Gun Club in it. And apparently there's a new black guy who's in it that we saw at Full Gear. Which I don't know who the black guy was. I couldn't read his jacket. But
wasn't that that used to be with MJF? Um, you know what I mean? The guy that got fired in the political campaign.
oh, maybe.
What's
So
his name? I can't remember his name.
so I actually found out that for those who watch the Wrestling Figure podcast, that Mark Sterling guy that's with them was actually the lawyer for MJF. He was the guy who played his lawyer. So there's like a new vlog that they did with Hornswoggle and uh, not Mike Carona, what's his name? Brian Myers. And they go and
Oh wow!
the guy has to wear the suit that he fought
I don't
Moxley
know
in.
that.
And yeah, and he's there and he's like, yeah, I lost the bet, so I have to wear the suit that Moxley beat me up in. And he has it. I was like, oh wow, I didn't know it was him. I couldn't tell that was the same guy. So that's a fun fact there that they're already WWE non WWE people. Um, but yeah, so that was a quick match, or it was an okay, I guess, go home match. And then Cody win, or they win, and then at the end, Cody grabs the mic and tells Darby to take a look because if you want the Ace belt, you're gonna have to beat the Ace. Because currently, right now, that's him, and that wraps up the show. I think the main event for that was kind of for being a go home show, but it's Cody. I guess we gotta hype him up, give him a main event every now and then, I guess. But now, time for the important one: Full Gear 2020. Um, so real quick through the actual red carpet, there was actually a pretty fun Alex and Dark
Sorry,
Order
my dog just
bit
peed
in
on
there.
my air mattress, and I almost whooped his ass.
Beat it. So to kind of go into the fact that with BTE, I mean with AEW, you kind of have to watch everything so you don't really miss anything. If you actually have time, take a look at the red carpet, not even the pre-show, the red carpet, and right before it ends, they have Alex supposed to interview Orange Cassidy. So when they cut to him, he supposedly like doesn't know that he's live, and he's like, "Why am I interviewing Orange Cassidy? He's not gonna talk. What's he gonna do? Just come up and give me a thumbs up, and that's it. I'm just gonna talk to myself and look like an
Oh, I
idiot."
missed the
And they're
red
like,
carpet.
"Yeah." And
Oh,
then they're like, "Alex, you're live." He's like, "Oh, hey, what's up, guys?" He's also, we're gonna go ahead and get interviewed by or we're gonna go ahead and interview Orange Cassidy. And he's like, "No, wait, what is it? Oh, look, it's John Silver instead. We're gonna go ahead and interview John Silver." So his segment is hilarious because he's like, "Why are you gonna wrestle Orange Cassidy? Because we already know you're gonna beat him." And he was like, "Oh yeah, well, I need to beat him for the honor of a Penelope Ford because he almost hit her last week, so that's why I had to go and um, kick him in the face." And the whole time, Anna Jay's just there, and everything he says, she just has like a disgust look on her face. Why John Silver's answering? That was hilarious. And he's like, "Well, what do you think? Why do you think you're gonna win?" And he's like, "Orange Cassidy is just an orange." He's like, "That's it." He's like, "But do you see this? You see this body?" He's like, "This is all T-bone. This is John Silver, all nothing but pure beef." And you know why? Because Johnny hungry. And Alex is like, "Well, you don't need luck, but I'm glad to see that we have another main
Gizmo.
event caliber match uh between you and Orange Cassidy." And he's like, "So after it's over, we're gonna party and throw champagne and everything." And he's like, "Yeah, we'll come back and we'll celebrate." So as everybody else leaves, um Reynolds is there and he's like, "Here, a little celebration to celebrate with to pre-celebrate John Silver winning." So he gives him a bottle of Kool-Aid, and Alex drinks the Kool-Aid. So then it cuts back and they're like, "Oh, I guess it's true. I guess he is with the Dark Order now." And Dasha's like, "Yeah, he's just busy sipping the Kool-Aid." Which I thought was pretty cool that they follow that from BTE over to uh the red carpet, and then they kind of have him re-drink the juice to kind of let the people who don't watch BTE know like he's part of the Dark Order now, um, because he's drinking the juice. So that I thought that was a cool little nod to everything way before the show. Um, then
Hey,
of course, the pre-show starts. So the buy-in, we end up having Serena D versus Allison K for the NWA Women's Title. Which most importantly is that after the match was over, after Serena D got the win, our girl Thunder Rosa came back out.
she
So
came out. She was
so
like,
I'm
"Fuck
guessing
your shit, bitch."
I'm guessing she's not done with AEW or NWA. So I'm hoping they have the NWA title somewhere on Dynamite soon, and she wins it back on TV. And if she can win it back before we have our show with her, because she still hasn't responded for when she's available. So hopefully by the time she's available, she has the title back or has an AEW title, which would be better. But big.
So, Gizmo, Gizmo. Sorry, walking dog. So just to give some backstory, Tony Khan announced today that that the wrestling landscape is going to change and there's going to be a huge announcement and surprises coming soon. So a lot of people are thinking that NWA and uh, the new I can't why can't I remember the name, Japan, New Japan
Hmm.
Pro Wrestling, they're all going to collaborate.
And
So I think
Impact.
Impact got thrown into, and I'm just like, I mean, that would be crazy, just to take down WWE.
Yes.
But I mean, honestly, it looks like that's true because they've worked at the NWA. A lot of them have been there, so I wouldn't be surprised, actually, honestly.
Yeah, because especially since I mean, they've signed like Eddie Kingston, but a lot of them, I know they had the option to like leave their contract, but you don't hear NWA actually saying like we release so and so, we release so and so. It's
The
just they
only
like
person did the girl that wrestled Serena Dean, was she was NWA, right? Yeah, she was. So
yeah,
that's the
because she was
only
the ex
thing
champion. Hmm.
that's the only thing I heard um that was released. That's the only person that I heard, and that was like a couple days before.
Hmm. I was gonna say unless because and you know what I'm thinking. So TNT actually has a deal with AEW for a second wrestling show, and they said it's going to be wrestling themed, but it's not going to be anything like Dynamite. What if it's like a best of from all of them? Like for the week, you get like the best match of each organization,
But what is that going to lead to?
and then that ends up being like a second platform show, and then eventually that ends up being like I guess maybe like they'll air an episode from each one because like New Japan, I know they don't do like weekly tapings; they do like what like every
Yeah,
couple of months. So like
yeah.
they can be like for a little bit and then split it up in an hour because their shows are like 3 hours long anyway. They split that up. If you do like
Oh,
that's like 12 episodes, and then you do like maybe an episode of like their Impact. That Impact doesn't. I don't think they have a good TV deal anyway. And maybe like a match or two, but they'll have like an AEW wrestler maybe go over there just so that way it's like AEW content, and then that'll like satisfy it without breaking any TV deals. But which we'll get to here in actually we'll get to it now. So when they do so they start the show off with Kenny and Hangman, which was a surprise because I really thought they were going to do Cassidy and Silver first. So it was a good idea having them first. But you have Don Callis, who's the president of Impact. So they actually said that the president Don Callis actually tweeted after AEW or before that their relationship with New Japan was gonna get um, was getting patched back up together, and that something big was going to happen real soon as well. And then Gallison and Anderson and Gallows retweeted the same thing as well. So it sounds like Impact and New Japan are already going to be working together already. So and then if Impact's working over here by having him on the show in AEW, that obviously means they don't have any bad blood between each other. So by connecting the pieces, the forbidden door may be open again.
so
Um,
I was shocked that Don Callis was. Well, I wasn't shocked. I know Don Callis has a long history with Kenny Omega. They're pretty
and
tight
Jericho.
in Jericho. So I was just like, okay, that's cool in the package, But I was like, okay,
Mhm.
that's kind of weird that because they didn't say like Don Callis. They said Don Callis, like EVP of
EVP.
Impact. I was like,
Yeah.
huh. And then when they did when he was actually commenting, I was like, holy shit.
Yeah. So that was so that's where I feel like that big super collab can happen. And then of course, Lucha Brothers have the Mexico AAA in their pocket too. So who knows? Maybe they'll jump into later once the border opens up and there you go. They'll have everything but England. So
Yep, everything but England. I think
but
WWE is trying to get a hold of that with
well yeah,
Evolve and everything.
they have the UK and the UK did take a lot of the independent like brands out. But the real like nail in the coffin was the whole Me Too movement because almost everybody there in England
Little horny
were
bastards.
were grooming their trainees. So yeah. But also other I guess not so much good news, but if you're a fan of Marty Squirrel, he came back on Instagram. So, that may mean he's getting ready to start making a wrestling comeback. So we'll see where that goes.
Yay,
Since his,
Marty.
Ring of Honor deal probably in the shitter now, so we shall see where that goes. But
Did
yeah,
they terminate him?
they haven't, but they haven't like mentioned him at all. They kind of just like separated from him, so I don't know where they're going with that. So, but I mean, they would have just cause to get rid of him and not have to pay him. So we'll see. We shall see. But back to the Ultimate Eliminator title match between Kenny and Hangman. It was a really good match. I had already told Donna if Hangman were to take the win, um, I was going to make me a last call, which was going to be a shot of whiskey and a shot of milk together in homage of the Stadium Stampede. But
before
sadly,
before we, I think before we start, we should go with our predictions because that's gonna take you. Because
I got destroyed, so there's no point. But we'll go ahead and read.
I, just so you know, spoiler alert, 2-0.
So going here, we did forget about the Ultimate Deletion match. That was one that we did both forget.
Oh yes, we did.
But we both had the NWA. We had Steve retaining. Then between Orange Cassidy and Silver, Mike had Orange. I had Silver. I really thought they were gonna help out Johnny Hungry, but it didn't work out. Um, Mike picked Sheeta over Nyla Rose, and so did I, because I forgot to put it in there. Um, then Mike had MJF. I had Jericho because I thought Warlord was going to turn on MJF. He picked Omega. I picked Hangman because I have to do cowboy shit. We both picked Darby. We both picked the Bucks, and we both picked Moxley. And that was our predictions going into this. This was I put mine at 5, but this was way before the show even started on the predictions. So at this point, we were both tied. So then we get to the first match of Hangman and Kenny.
Do you want?
So the cleaner entrance again was awesome with this whole 9 million claims to fame um, there and his really long entrance and the brooms and everything. Uh, I do kind of agree. They were like, why don't they decorate the brooms and make them like glittery or something to make it not just a broom? But
It's Kenny Omega. He can do what the fuck he wants.
so it was a good storytelling between them. Um, every time that Hangman tried to go for the, I mean not Hangman, every time Kenny tried to go for the one winged angel, Hangman was prepared for it, so he was always trying to like weasel his way out, which I think he did like 2 or 3 times throughout the match. It was a good storytelling of how like they were such good tag team partners that they know each other's moves, so some of the moves were like already being predicted or stopped from each other. Um, it was really exciting, great opener. I was super
I,
excited for it.
I would say this ring psychology.
Hmm.
Amazing because even though in my heart I knew Kenny was going to win, there are a couple of times I'm like, damn, Hangman's going to pull up. Like when he did the dead eye,
Yeah.
I thought that he was going to do it, you know?
Hmm.
So I actually thought the match was awesome. It was amazing. It was one of the best Hangman matches that he's had. And uh, when they first put it on as the first um, match, I was like, that's a mistake. They shouldn't have done that. But then as it went on, I was like, oh yeah, this is good shit.
Yeah. Um, and I guess that's where the good storytelling is. Of course, Kenny ends up at the last minute because Hangman leans forward and trying to avoid the one winged angel. Kenny's able to grab his head on that last like second move to beat him with the one winged angel. I think it does good storytelling that it's been now 2 big chances right there for Hangman to get within arm's reach of the title and he fails. First being Jericho, and then now this that he was 1 win away from getting a title shot. So, um, which plays great into BTE that we'll get to in the next episode. Um, but I think that also helps build the sympathy on him. So when he does end up like winning the title, it's worth it because you saw him like struggle through 3 different times to try to get the belt, and fall short the first 2 times, but very close the first time. but I do hope they do more with him because I do want to see more of Paige wrestle because I haven't seen him really wrestle this much this year. Other than the tag team titles, so I'm glad to just see him wrestling again. So I was still excited about it, even though he didn't win. But I think this is going to lead to a really good. Um, I'm going to say they finish it in All Out. I say by All Out, he's champion. I
Oh, I
think.
don't know. I think they'll wait another year.
But it's like, how longer can you stretch that? 'Cause, I mean, obviously, if you know, if Kenny doesn't win it now, Kenny's going to win it by the next pay per view come
Yeah.
February. And
Well,
it's like,
yeah,
how are you going to tell this story for almost another year after it's been, by that time, it'll be like a year and a half of telling it.
yeah, that's true. That's true.
But I mean, more than likely though, knowing AEW, yeah, it'll probably go 2 years, and it won't be till like Revolution of next year. But which actually builds a good parallel at the end of this pay per view, which we'll get into later. About Kenny and Full Gear and everything good there. Um, so then from there we go to what everybody thought was going to be the opener, which was pushed from the buy-in into the main show. Uh, which I'm guessing they make like these buy-in matches first with their talent, and then they try to like get something a little bit better that's not as high on the card to switch it out, because that's what happened last pay per view as well. I forgot who the buy-in was, or it was Joey Janela and Sunny Kiss versus somebody, but it was like a last minute like switch. The same thing happened here that they pushed Orange Cassidy
Oh,
and Silver.
it was Britt Baker and Big Swole.
Oh yeah, so they moved them from like the buy-in to the thing, which I don't know if maybe they just think like as they put them there, and then as their schedule like laying out the matches, maybe they realize, okay, well, we can put more time and move that match to the card and then just make another buy-in match. So maybe that's what they do. But yeah, this is the second time that they've done that where they pushed up the card to make it a very long pay-per-view for those who watch it all instead of just having it be the match there at 7. Um, but yeah, Orange Cassidy, John Silver. It was a great comedic match, which I think fits perfectly following Hangman and Omega because they were still wrestling to it, but it was more a comedy act, so it helped like save the fatigue from the Hangman Omega, give you time to recover to be ready for Darby and Cody after it, so you weren't just like trained from the excitement and then have to go again and try to be committed into a match. So of course John Silver shows up with all of Dark Order, and Orange Cassidy. I think he comes out by himself. I don't think he has the best friends with
No,
him.
he does. He comes with the best friends, but they end up going back to the back.
Okay, yeah, so they go back. So, some of my favorite parts of this match is John Silver ends up ripping the pockets out of Cassidy's pants, um, because he puts his hands in his pockets and tries kicking them, and he's like, "What the hell?" He's like, "This doesn't even hurt." So then he rips out the pockets and then he eats them because Johnny hungry. So he
The
eats.
best part was as he's he's getting like this little kicks, and he's just like, "What the
Yeah.
hell?" Tony Schiavone's like, "Then block him."
I love my favorite part was when he's eating the pockets. I think it's Excalibur or JR is like, he hasn't washed those pants in a year. And then Johnny Silver, and then they have John Silver just eating the pockets. He's like, why would you eat them? So then from there, they do a cool angle where Orange Cassidy's going back and forth. I think clotheslining him between the ropes, or he's running back and forth on the ropes. And they use the turnbuckle cameras to show you him beating up John Silver running back and forth, which is a pretty cool angle. Um, then John Silver shows how strong he is by lifting Orange Cassidy up with one arm, which was pretty cool. And it goes back and forth until finally Darby Allin wins. I mean, Orange Cassidy wins with the Orange Punch to beat John Silver, which also leads to another great BTE bit um, on Monday. But yeah, Orange Cassidy takes the win and beats Silver. I kind of wanted Silver to win just to be something different, but now in the aspect of things, obviously Cassidy's the more over in the booking, so it would make sense that he'd win. But I just want John Silver to get a big win for once. Have you seen his Tough Enough tape?
Have I seen who's?
John Silver's Tough Enough
Who's
tape. So
tape?
apparently John Silver.
I have not.
So it's on YouTube where he's applying for like Tough Enough, and it's literally like how he is now, just a little bit more funnier. And everybody's like, they're like WWE had a chance and they let Johnny Hungry go through their fingers, and like all the comments are like, "Who's here because of Johnny Hungry?" And I was like, "That's funny how
Oh
you
my
watch like those
god.
old tapes and you're just like, well, yeah, they could have had him." So
That's fair.
from this match, we jump over to the TNT title match, which is Darby Allin versus Cody, and this is the third time they meet. Of course, it was the first one was a tie. Cody got the pin the second time, so you can kind of figure where this is going the third time. Cody, who comes out, has to come out with his whole posse of 57 people. But most importantly, it is the Prince of Wrestling, the American Nightmare, Cody freaking Rhodes, as he's officially now able to use the name Rhodes again, um, as he wrestles, and then the crowd starts shouting, "Cody
Do,
Rhodes, Cody Rhodes." So there's actually a
do you know
funny.
the story behind that?
Yes, that's where I was just about to cover here. So supposedly, um, this week, I think it was what that Monday or whatever, WWE dropped the claim on the lawsuit about the name Cody Rhodes. So that would mean that Cody can legally use his name anywhere again. Ironically, as well, Cody dropped the pretty much all the claims to his dad's trademarked events that Cody was fighting for this whole time. Um, and they also said supposedly that Cody had announced that he'd only be able to use Rhodes, or he was only going to use Rhodes when he was doing uh, TV roles, but he wasn't going to use it as a wrestler. So what the rumor is that supposedly WWE was willing to drop the Cody Rhodes name as long as he would drop the claims to his dad's stuff in exchange that he would only use it outside of wrestling. Is supposedly what I was told, which was a big surprise when I heard it at the pay per view that he actually decided to use it in the pay per view as Cody Rhodes.
He tricked them. He's like, no, fuck you.
So that, in the long nutshell, is supposedly what happened and why he now has the Rhodes name again, which is kind of smart, you know. Give up one name to not have to worry about fighting the rest. So
That's true. That's true.
I guess, but I just think it's funny because then Dustin they still call himself Dustin Rhodes, but I mean he was Gold Dust, so they really didn't have a claim to his name,
Yeah.
but still kind of funny there. So yeah, it was a good back and forth, just like every other Cody and Darby match. Oh yeah, I forgot Darby decided to come out of a car, just like everybody else does in these pay per views,
Oh god. What's up with AEW and cars, man?
and not any car, just some beat up piece of
Like,
junk car. And he thought he was
apparently
cool
that's
by
like
smashing.
legit, like real car.
Oh, so he was cool with smashing his skateboard through the glass. So, yeah, so he smashed that through the glass. So they go back and forth. I originally um, thought I knew Darby was gonna win, but I really thought that um, Team Taz was gonna come out and try to interfere at some point, like during the actual match. So I was kind of surprised that it was a clean match there. Now, can we talk about that crazy crossroads off the top turnbuckle?
Yes. I was like, that's it. That's it. When he kicked out, I was like, oh, are you serious? Are you effing
Yes.
serious? Did you see the callback to Bret Hart and the British Bulldog in SummerSlam in London?
Yes.
That was that was the finish.
Mhm. Yeah, and they were like,
So
if you could have just moved him like a foot closer. So then, pretty much the whole Cody getting defeated is that Cody gets cocky, and he gets defeated. So Arn Anderson's all mad. Which I think it's here that Arn Anderson comes out in just like a muscle shirt and the jacket, because normally he's wearing like a polo and the Family Roads like sweater vest. So I thought it was kind of funny watching him in just like a wife beater and the jacket. Um, so I was like, is this heel Arn Anderson? Because he's not wearing his polo. Um, but overall, it was finally good to see like the belt go to an actual homegrown talent and not just Brody Lee. So I'm kind of excited to see where Darby goes with
Mhm.
this. So after the match, Team Taz comes out and starts beating up Darby, and Cody tries to help him out before they beat up Cody as well. Um, the belt's there in the middle, so Brian Cage picks up the belt and looks at it, and then Ricky Starks tries to take it out of his hand and looks at it, so they look at each other. So then Taz has to step in and take the belt from both of them to let them know, like, hey, we're Team Taz first, so let's beat them up. Um, I like the foreshadowing there, but I still think it's kind of dumb since Cage has the FTW belt. Then what's the point of that belt if he's going to be looking for another belt to take
Yeah.
him? Um, but I mean, I guess it kind of could work if he's like, I'm going to be the belt collector and try to beat everybody, and then have like him and Ricky try to get the tag titles, and then have him try to take the TNT and then the world title, so he has them all. But I don't see AEW doing that.
He
Um,
he never defends the belt though, so what's the point of having it?
yes, exactly. And I like, how we always talk about how like AEW always sets up multiple stories within stories. I feel like on the flip side of that, because I watched the recaps of Raw and SmackDown, and it looks like Raw is trying to do the same thing with Randy Orton right now. Supposedly Randy Orton has like 4 or 5 people like trying to fight for the belt while he has to like defend against Roman at Survivor Series. So I think they're trying to take a page out of AEW and be like, well, let's set up multiple storylines within storylines so we can just check them off as we go. So I guess that's one good thing that AEW is doing is just like the stop instead of doing stop and start pushes, they're doing stop and start stories where they're like there and they're like, okay, cool, we'll get back to that later. We'll just leave it there. Um, so the same way here with the Cody and Darby Allin, how like they stopped it because they fought whenever it was the beginning of the year. Now they're like, okay, here we go back again. So now we leave it there, but now we'll have to do another one because now they're both tied at 1-1, 1-1-1-1. So you obviously got to have a fourth match now to end that at some point. Um, and then
I
so
thought Darby
after
lost him
they
twice.
no, the first one was a tie, and then he beat him. Then Cody beat him once, and this was the
That's true.
third time
That's
they
true.
actually fought.
That's true.
Um,
That's true.
but after of course, Team Taz fights over the belt. They go and they try to break Darby Allin's arm, and after that, it's no other than Mr. Hobbs with his chair comes and tries to make this, or he does make the save, and beats on Team Taz to end the segment there as they run off with the title. So
So did you see? So what they did was they wrapped Darby's arm
in the
around
car.
the door and about to slam it in the car. And then
Mm-hmm.
Will Hobbs comes out and makes a save, but Will Hobbs almost destroys his arm because his body hits the car door and almost slams shut again. I don't know if you
Yes,
saw that.
yes, I did. Jumping into the next match here, um, we have Nyla Rose taking on Sheeta in a, I guess you could say a repeat because they just had the match 2 pay-per-views ago when she won. Um, so of course it's just another women's match, so it doesn't matter because there's no storyline built into this. So this was a second pee break. I literally said that when they came out. I was like, "Oh, cool, I can go pee." Donna was like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah." I was like,
That's messed up.
it's a copy and paste. We've seen this already way too many times.
Yeah,
I'm
but this match was different though. This match, I don't know what you, but I love this match. This match is fucking physical. Like fucking Sheeta was like um suplexing freaking Nyla Rose like it was nothing. I was like, dang girl, where'd you get that straight from?
Oh, they need it so that way she looks good for the video game.
Oh, she definitely did. I was like, golly, I'm impressed. And then freaking I love how like Nyla pulling her heel moves and was like flick shit off to the pin, and then she went and did the same thing.
Mhm.
Like, sorry, I got to the match, but I thought it was an awesome match. I thought that it was physical more than like it's not what you expect from a women's match. Like this one was actually physical. Like there were suplexes from Sheeta's, Nyla Rose power bombing like crazy.
Mhm.
They're trying to get each other's finishers. I think what's her name tried to do. Shida's finisher and missed. And then
Yeah.
Shida tried to do Nyla Rose's finisher, but essentially there are a couple. I will say this though, the when they have one pin and then they move at two, to break the cover,
Hmm.
like I that's so overdone in wrestling.
Yeah.
And then I think that's auto. Then I think Nyla flicked off Shida one time doing that, and then went back and
Yeah.
forth. Shida, oh, didn't they do the suplex too? The super suplex off the freaking rope.
Yes. Yes, they did.
Oh, that might have been that. I just thought it was super physical, and it was just what you expect from like two big hosses, like of
Hmm.
men wrestling. So I love this match. It was physical. I was surprised. I thought the same thing. I'm like, this is gonna be a snooze fest. But
Hmm.
when I actually got into it, I was like, dang, they are out there doing it. But Sheeta ends up winning with her finisher, and yeah.
Yeah. And
Oh,
at
in
that
the
time, I
end,
thought,
and then this is where I thought was weird, where Vicky Guerrero starts berating Nyla Rose, and I thought, okay, yeah, now Vicky Guerrero is about to take a huge bump, but nope,
yeah.
Nyla Rose just tucks her head between her tail and like does nothing. And that was it, which I thought was weird.
Yeah. But they also have to do more bikini video photos things. So that would also be why. Uh, but yeah, of course, actually, I think Vicky actually causes the match before Sheeta hits the finisher. Cause I think she was like trying to take the kendo stick away or use the kendo stick or something. Um,
That's true.
so that was supposedly like the fall off there. But now the whole reason why uh, I was interested in Full Gear till the injury happened. FTR versus the Young Bucks. Years in the making. Twitter war turned into a real life dream match. Um, so they both come out. FTR is rocking the Boston Celtics colors in their gear, the white and the green. And then the Young Bucks, of course, being from California, rocking the purple and yellow for the Lakers. So you have the battle between the Lakers and the Celtics there. The one part I thought was funny was when FTR comes out that their jackets say uh, greatest tag team ever or something. I can't remember exactly what the full initials say. And that they're like, what does their jacket say? It says GTT's, I think it's GTTER or something like that. And they're all, what's the greatest team ever? And then I was like, they couldn't figure out what the second T stood for. Then they took off the jackets and their trunks said it spelled it out as all the greatest tag team ever. And they were like, "Oh, the greatest tag team ever!" Yeah, I thought that was funny that they had no idea what it stood for. Um, of course, they were talking about the whole match. They're comparing the facts that the Young Bucks are the representation of '90s wrestling, of the Dudley Boys, the Hardys, and that FTR is the representation of the '80s wrestling of the Brainbusters and the Heart Foundation. So they do place spots to each four of those tag teams that they mentioned throughout the night. I forget the spots exactly, but um, I think don't they do like a 3D or something in honor of the Dudley Boys?
They
I
did the
can't remember.
3D. They did they do the heart attack? I think they did the heart attack too.
Yeah, and then FTR with the Brainbuster, and I forget what the. I think it was the Flying Bulldog. I think was the homage to the Heart Foundation or
That's
something like
cool.
that. But yeah. So they were going back and forth there. Of course, they're playing to the fact that Matt has a messed up foot. So later towards the end of the match, they actually take his boot off and take his sock off, and that they're going to. I think they were going to put it in the chair again to break his foot. So good back and forth between both. You have the quickie flippiness of the Bucks and the all fist no flips until the end of FTR style, and pretty much that's what cost them. Dax tries to go for a flip off a moonsault off the top rope and misses. So then that thing sets up the super kick, and that's how they finish it. I think if I'm correct.
I think then he did the springboard. When he did the springboard 450, I was like,
Oh,
dang,
there you go. It's a
dude, I didn't know you
450.
were
There you go.
capable of that.
Yeah, there you go. It's a 450, and he misses the 450, and then they I think super kick him, or I can't remember how the ending was. I got up to get another drink at that point, and then I came back and I was like, no, I missed it. It's over. Um, but yes, the Bucks win.
And then during the match, freaking what's his name? Legit hurt his hand because they taped it
Yes,
up.
yes, and he started bleeding from
Uh,
like the middle of it. Dax. Yeah, it's
yeah.
Dax because Cash is the other one.
No.
Um,
Oh
oh,
yeah,
no, I
you're
have
right.
backwards.
Yeah. I always get them mixed up.
Yeah, I was gonna mix up too since they don't go
It is
by their
Dax,
actual
right?
names.
Yeah.
The bald headed one. Yeah, I just know him as the
Yes,
bald headed
bald
one, and
headed
then the other
one.
guy.
How to get taped up like in the middle of
Yeah,
the
middle of the
match.
match because it's like he cut himself like in between his pinky and the fourth finger there, and they like showed like the blood coming out of it. Um, and then I like how Matt keep had the earring in like tribute like to the Rockers and Shawn
Oh
Michaels,
my god, I hate that earring.
which it's also funny in when they mention it over in BTE as well there. You still got your earring on? He's like, oh yeah, let me take that out real quick. Uh, I thought it was good. I really, really still don't think they needed the whole, we can't lose or we're gonna quit or we can't challenge for the belt again. Because I really feel like that took a lot away from the match with us knowing that they weren't going to lose. Uh, Cody was still kind of an iffy thing because like there you can make um another belt and that made more sense for Cody anyway. Like a good excuse to make a second belt because Cody can't defend or fight for the world title. But yeah, the Young Bucks losing, it was like, what are you gonna do? Make a second set of tag team titles? Like have the tag team champions and the tag team belts or something. Um, so of course they win. Kenny comes out to celebrate with them. Brings it up to comes out to the ring and celebrates with them while Hangman is sitting inside the little ramp, looking sad, drinking because he was gonna go celebrate with them, but Kenny beat him. Um, and then of course there's now championship T-shirts and caps, um, which I thought was pretty funny.
I
I
love
can't
that.
I can't really say anything about it because when Moxley won, they did make a Moxley like championship shirt that had like the belt with the Mox and spray paint over it. So I can't really say anything. It's just funny that they actually like try to rip off an NBA team like uh, shirt, which every tag team should now have a shirt just like that. I want that from now on. Like that has to be a thing for tag teams. You get a team championship shirt. Um, but overall, was a good was good, but not as great as it should have been. But it was definitely a good 30-minute fundamental match. And if you took away the stipulations, I think it would have been more enjoyable because you would have been like on the edge of your seat of who's gonna win. But knowing that stipulation, I feel like that just made it more predictable, so it wasn't as enjoyable as it was for me.
I thought it was a very good match. I was starting to
Mhm.
not get interested in Young Bucks matches, but I was like, this is a freaking awesome match. It reminded me of the Dudley Boys versus like the Hardys. That's what it reminded me of.
Mhm. Yeah, where the Dudleys weren't so flippy and flashy, but they were still able to
Yep.
compete with what the Hardys were bringing. I can see that. So jumping into the next, I guess, movie, not so much a match, but the next movie is the Elite Deletion between Sammy and Matt Hardy. So it opens up with Sammy in his brand new, pimped out, fresh from Carlos's garage, uh, golf cart. Because on Sammy's vlog, they actually show him getting the golf cart from Santana and Ortiz. Because they're like, you know what we did with your scooter, right? He's like, yeah, well, we got you this ride, and it's the golf cart. And he's like, cool. He's like, today's gonna be a good day. He's I get to keep this. He's like, yeah, it's only $28,000 for the scooter. By the time we pimped it out, and he's like, wow, this is gonna be a good day, and I get to keep the scooter. What can go wrong? And that's how his vlog starts. So once he gets to the Hardy compound, Vanguard, whatever it is now, I don't remember what version of the drone it is, um, ends up shutting down the golf cart with his magical computer powers, only to leave Sammy stranded before Matt Hardy shows up in a monster truck and decides to run over the golf cart, which actually just kind of like topples over. He doesn't actually really run over the golf cart. He just kind of knocks it down, but runs him over the golf cart. So then after he crashes,
Did I lose you? Did I lose you? I don't think I can hear you. G.
okay, where'd you stop hearing me?
There you go. Sammy in the golf cart. Like
That
he ran. Matt Hardy ran over the golf cart, and then that's where I think I kind of lost you.
okay. So yeah, so Matt Hardy runs him over with the golf cart, and then he pops out looking for Sammy. So Sammy grabs a trash can that's conveniently placed behind the monster truck and hits him with the monster truck. So then they start fighting in the, I guess, the trees that are in the front of his house. And I got a kick out of it, and it kind of was foreshadowing the fact that there was a trash can in the driveway. And Excalibur is like, I didn't know trash pickup was on Saturday nights there in North Carolina. Um, which is pretty funny because there's a trash can there. So then it cuts to them moving to the front of the house where Sammy suplexes Matt on the grass. And it sounded like that grass was not soft or forgiving. So he suplexes him a couple of times there. Then they move to the water fountain. And inside the water fountain, there's some type of walking stick or something. That even JR was like, what the hell is that stick? And Excalibur is like, that's the stick of, I don't know who the hell it is. And he was like, "Oh, right, yes, because we all know that. Yeah, of course. I paid attention to history." So I thought that was funny. Then from there, they're working their way to the ring that's out conveniently placed outside of his house. So they start wrestling in there. Santana and Ortiz show up, and they start beating up Matt Hardy. And then while that's going on, Matt Hardy is able to somehow get a phone. So he's able to phone in Private Party, who just happens to pull up in the driveway right when he calls them. And then a few seconds go by, and then they cut back to them. And they're like, "Oh yeah, we should probably go help him." So like they get out of the car like a minute later. So thank God he wasn't dying, or I'm pretty sure he would have died. So then Private Party comes out and helps out and starts beating up Santana and Ortiz while that's going on. Matt and Sammy get into a firework fight again. So they have Roman candles and start shooting them at each other. And from there, Matt tries to, I guess he's trying to drown Sammy and throw him in the water. So they start slipping in this pool of mud that just happens to be there, which is my favorite line of the whole night. He's all, "Get up, Sammy." He's some old people are going to think that this is some type of mud show. So then Sammy gets up and is all covered in mud as they start fighting by the lake of reincarnation. So while that's going on, ironically, a hooded man comes out with the hurricane who's handcuffed. And it reveals that it ends up being Gangrel that is has the hurricane hostage. And I think Sammy super kicks Gangrel, or Matt Hardy does. One of them super kicks him. And then Matt Hardy goes and untangles the hurricane, and he's like, I've been kidnapped for like 2 years, right? And Matt's like, "Yeah, well, I was going to save you, but, I had to sign with AEW, and I had to do this, and I almost died, but we rescued you now. So that's all that matters." So then
I
Sammy and Matt...
I don't understand the backstory there. I didn't understand why Gangrel had to play with this.
So in I guess the last deletion, or I know the last like part of Impact before Matt like left, was he was doing a deletion with somebody else, and that was like part of it, like towards the end, that the Hurricane had gotten kidnapped by him. So it was like cleaning up the loose ends of that last deletion. Because I don't remember who he did it last to, but I think it was him and Jeff. I think were the last deletion. Uh, like actual type movie like that he did, and that was part of like the storyline that Gangrel kidnapped him because Gangrel was working for whoever he was fighting. So that was like the continuation because they never like explained whatever happened to him. So that was what that part was to pay homage to his story over there in Impact. I think.
Fun fact:
But yeah, that's just
Hurricane Helms is the only person that has been in Impact, WWE, WCW, AEW, ROH, and I think New Japan
I was gonna say I think he was part of ECW
and
too. I think.
NWA. I think he's been. Oh, and ECW. There you go. Yep. He's the only wrestler, I think, or maybe there might be someone. I think. No, yeah, he's the only wrestler
Oh, was he?
to
Was
do
he?
that.
Was it with Bray Wyatt? Because the last deletion was actually with Bray
Bray
Wyatt. So I
Wyatt
don't know if
hasn't
he
been in
came.
AEW though.
No, but
Yeah,
the last time Matt Hardy
he
did a
wasn't in
deletion
that one.
match.
Nothing. Yeah, he wasn't in that one.
Oh, then maybe it's almost because he said within the last 2 years. So I
Yeah,
don't know.
like Gangrel wasn't in that though. I don't. At least I don't remember. That's why I was confused.
Yeah, but I'm assuming he's paying tribute to something there, and that's why he's like, oh yeah, okay. Um, but yeah, I thought that was kind of weird, but also another random cameo. Um, then they take it into his garage where there's another ring set up. Um, so they're going back and forth there. Sammy does a flip off a ladder that's in the ring there. Um, then I saw there was a casket in the back, and I was thinking because there was rumors that Sting was supposed to show up.
Yes.
Um, because his legend contract was done. So I was thinking Sting was going to be in the casket and that like somebody was going to try to put the other one in there and that they were going to open it and Sting was going to be in there and like with the bat or whatever. And that was going to be the feud with whoever like opened it. But that didn't happen. So I was kind of sad on that. But then they pay homage back to everything that started the feud. So they he slams Sammy through a table the first time and cuts him open supposedly from the back of the head. Um, which I really thought that was like a oh shit, like he really busted his head open. But then I remembered that this was pre-tape, so I was like, oh no, that's just ketchup. So we're good. Um,
Yep.
so then
It
he
looks like
hits.
that too.
Yeah, so I was like, okay. So then Matt hits him with the chair, the same way that Sammy threw the chair at Matt to pay tribute to like busting him open that way. And then they finish it with Matt Hardy spearing Sammy through the table for the win, just like the concussion that he had back in All Out or All In, whichever one it was. Um, so then 1, 2, 3, Matt Hardy wins, and then he calls Private Party in to help throw Sammy in the trash can, and they roll him into Senor Benjamin's truck, and Senor Benjamin takes off, and that is the end of the deletion.
I will say
So,
this: I did not like the match. I did not hate the match. I didn't care for the match. I feel like it was just the best of Matt Hardy.
mhm. Yeah, I enjoyed the shenanigans and the Easter eggs, but yeah, I think as a match, I I was just kind of like, okay, it's there. But I think as a mark that knows like the backstories and catches the reference he was jabbing in there, 'cause that's pretty much what all the deletion normally is half the time. It's some stupid story about him needing to delete somebody, and then they're constantly throwing jabs at WWE or somebody else. I know in the I think the first one that he did with Matt with Jeff, he's digging his grave and he's like, "This is where something." I think he says like the King of Kings buries, or I guess if I'm the King of King, I'm gonna have to bury you. So it's like him like using the shovel to bury him, but he's talking about how Triple H buries talent. So it's something like that about having to bury him. So that's kind of what I expected with this match, that it was just going to be a cheek and tongue match. And for that, the Easter egg wise, I thought it was great. Um, but as a match as a whole, yeah, I think it was just kind of like there. It was just a good time killer. Um, but nothing to write home about. So 3 hours into this match, we get uh, Chris Jericho versus MJF in a MJF wins. He gets to join the Inner Circle match. Of course, Chris Jericho comes out to his entrance. Everybody sings it. Everybody loves it. Um, then they go on back and forth. Like they said, it was kind of the master heel taking on his little Padawan, and It was okay. I thought it was pretty good. They both trying to like one heal each other or out heal the other one, which was kind of cool. Seeing how MJF was trying to take the Eddie Guerrero route and hope that Jericho got disqualified by trying to hit him with the bat. So then, as Aubrey, which I don't know why Aubrey even gets to referee Chris Jericho's matches.
because they have an
Uh,
ongoing thing. That's why.
well, I know, but you would think like story wise, Chris Jericho would be like, I don't want her because she always screws me over when she refs, so I'd rather have somebody else. So I feel like that should be something that should be played into it. Um, and then they just be like, no, sorry, Chris, it's just that's who you're in the main event scene, so she's the main event ref, so get over it. But yeah, I thought it was a good back and forth.
I it was so MJF out healed Jericho because that's how he won
Hmm.
because um
Yes.
I think he threw something in the ring with the bat and then
Hmm.
MJF laid down like he thought that he pulled an Eddie Guerrero and then that's when he was able then I guess she threw the bat on that's when he was able to do the roll up and put it in.
Yes.
It seemed like Jericho like was like getting fatigued toward the end of the match.
Hmm.
Or was that just me? Like he was just like out of it. And it was just like slowing
No.
down like a lot. Like
Yeah, that's what I was noticing too, and that's what a lot of people say. Like you can see, like he's kind of like stopped selling. Like unless he was like there to catch his breath, he really wasn't like going. He was kind of like running through the motions towards the end, where I guess he was just running out of steam. Um, but yeah, I kind of I don't know. I really don't know how feel about that. I really thought there was gonna be a heel turn or a turn there from Warlord, so I'm really surprised that I don't see him like do anything. But I don't know where you go from here. Like they won. Obviously, MJF can feud with the rest of the inner circle to try to like gain their respect. I guess you can kind of do it like a you want to be part of the inner circle, you got to beat me, and I'll be okay with it type thing. But I don't I don't really
I
know
hope
where you
it's
go from
not
here.
a Randy Orton Wyatt family type situation. That's gonna suck.
Yeah. So I mean, unless he's gonna kick him out, but even then, that's just kind of like I guess a waste of a feud if you're just gonna kick Jericho out and make MJF like the main guy of Inner
Yep.
Circle. Which I mean, it could be a possibility, especially if Fozzie's
Well,
gonna start touring again.
I think he's gonna break them up. I hope that doesn't happen.
It could. I mean, you're starting to see cracks in all the other factions, so I don't see why not Inner Circle. But I think they're just. I know for sure, definitely Sammy will end up leaving before this is over.
Yeah, I have that feeling too.
Because they've been like talking, and then they're probably going to use the fact that when he lost, Matt Hardy deleted the heel side of him, so now he's going to be a baby face um, because of it. So I can see where that can go. Um, of course, after the match, it was kind of weird that they were celebrating and just happy and cheerful, even though he just lost. So that was kind of
Yep.
a weird way to end it. The one good thing of continuity that I enjoyed out of this, even though I kind of hated it because I wanted Sammy to come out and sing the theme song, was the fact that Ortiz, Santana, and Sammy couldn't be there because they were technically in Carolina because of the Ultimate Deletion. So at least they didn't like screw that up and forget to like not put them out there with them.
Oh wow, that does make a lot of sense. Yeah, I didn't realize that.
Hmm. So I was like, well, that was a good thing they one did that first to you know answer that loop of why nobody was at ringside other than Hager, but he got beat up that's 2 Saturdays ago, so he was still recovering. So it kind of like answered the question of where was everybody at to help Jericho out. So at least they did good continuity on that and making sure that was good. Uh, so then at least the main event of Full Gear, we have good old John Moxley taking on Eddie Kingston in an I Quit match. I think this is probably, other than The Rock and Mankind, which was of course famous for the violence in that one, I feel like this is one of my favorite I Quit matches. Um, just because it was like, obviously they're not redoing the wheel, but there were some like new innovative spots I wouldn't have thought of. Mainly the rubbing alcohol on the back after getting sent through thumbtacks. I thought that was very creative and something new. I just hope I don't start seeing that every wrestler trying to pour baby rubbing alcohol on everybody now. But I would like to kind of see that maybe with somebody like with an open gash, like where they get busted open in the head and then have that poured on them. That'd be a good like look to see. But I bet it would still burn like a bitch unless they swap it out with water.
That's
You
true.
know that
Yeah.
probably be best. Um, but yeah, I mean you get your typical death match from Moxley, which of course this is a year from when he had the lights out match with Kenny. So I guess that's his tradition now for All Out to just have a blood match or Full Gears to have a death match. Um, of course, like we said, they were making out on Dynamite the week a couple of days before this, so it was good to see them go back and forth at it. Um, Playing to the fact that they've known each other for years, and I know, like I said, the one good thing was instead of like WWE where they give you the microphone every like move and they're like, "Do you quit?" Um, they actually were choking each other out, and the ref was like, "Are you quit? Like, do you quit? Do you quit?" But they didn't go crazy with like, "Here's a microphone or mic up the ref." There, and then I thought it was like they were saying it was interesting. Like before they did the move, they were like, "Just go ahead and quit. Don't make me like have to like hit you with thumbtacks. Just go ahead and quit." And they'd be like, "No, I'm not gonna quit." So then he'd hit them with the thumbtacks or whatever. There, um, of course, Eddie Kingston taking the barbed wire off the bat that Moxley had brought in earlier into the match. He wrapped it around his hand and was using it as a weapon for a while, which ends up being his demise because the match ends when Moxley wraps that around his arm and puts Kingston in the bulldog choke with the barbed wire against his face, which ironically did more damage to Moxley's arm than it did Kingston's face. Um, I thought that was pretty funny. That Kingston had like no marks or anything, and Moxley arms is all just covered in little pokes from the barbed wire. Um, then from there, of course, they win. Moxley tries to help out Kingston and pick him up to tell him like good match, and Kingston just blows him off and leaves. So then Moxley's there in the ring celebrating. I was still thinking Sting was gonna make an appearance at this point because he hadn't shown up, and they were taking really long with the celebration. I think the celebration went on a good like 5-6 minutes before Kenny comes out, Kenny the Cleaner, and he stands on the ramp and they do a face to face with the ropes in between, looking at the title. And then they talk about, which I guess is going to be the main talking point throughout all of this, is that Omega or that Moxley has never beat Omega in a single regular wrestling match. He's only beat him in the lights out match that they had last year at Full Gear, which is where it goes full circle of uh thing. I forgot what I said earlier about Kenny in the Full Gear match, but um I forgot where my original thought was. But anyway, um but yeah, that they've never met in a regular match. So that fades to black and that is the end of the pay-per-view. Your thoughts on the pay-per-view?
Uh, I thought it was a great pay per view. I thought a lot of the matches were good. I think the only ones I didn't like, surprisingly, were the MJF match and the Matt Hardy match. I think the Matt Hardy match kind of dragged down. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there are some funny spots to it, but it was just like I've never seen this. Yeah, I mean, it was just a recycling of everything. And then the MJF match, it was just I don't know. I just didn't like it. It wasn't his best. Jericho wasn't at his best, and it was kind of like you kind of knew what was going to happen. Like with the Kenny and Hangman, at least like you knew who was going to win. But at least my dog, excuse me, my dog, he's a goober. At least you like I thought a couple of times, oh man, Hangman might actually take this away. So
Yeah, I mean, like I said,
yeah.
I agree as well. I think it was a good card across the board. Even I mean, even as an MJF, like I said, like you said, it's not the best match he's had, but it's still like was still like a I guess entertaining quality match. Like I said, deletion match. If you follow the whole Broken Hardy thing, and I think it's something that you can enjoy as like a show, but as a match itself, yeah, I feel like that was probably the weaker point out of the show. Um, but I think this definitely made up for what all in, yeah, no, all out, yeah, all out did in August because I know we were kind of on that show. So I do feel like this is a good redemption on it, and a good way to end the year. I feel like there's a lot of good stories that are going to be coming off of this, which we'll get into next week's episode. So this is where we go ahead and bid you adieu, um, for tuning in to our review of Full Gear and Impact. So you guys get ready because probably in the next day or 2 days from now, after you're hearing this, we're dropping our review of Impact. I mean, not Impact. God damn it! Why do I keep saying Impact? Dynamite. Our review of Dynamite because we recorded this the Wednesday after Dynamite, so we did this one part, and we're gonna take a quick break as you guys have to wait another day for part two. So that is the end of the show. So like always, I'm G the Chino,
I'm Mike Da Cholo.
and we will see you guys next time.